So new share contact participants more. No. After 6:30, I guess. I don't see that light. On YouTube. No more antibiotics. Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, geez, what a day.
It's not an easy anymore. I talked to Joe, he's online. And we're thinking that we may be looking at roll call votes, just because he's online.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Share with him and work around the room and
Okay.
take stuff for that. You want a full packet?
I don't know, do you think I need it?
Maybe. Have you looked through this stuff yet?
Yeah, I've kind of looked at it quickly.
I can send you out another one.
I suppose I should bring my iPad. How do I?
Sometimes paper, I print out the things I need.
Is that how it's going?
I didn't think about glasses done this time anyway.
Strange, Keith, you being the first one there. Well, Rose is a close second.
uh, Joe is has some
Strep virus.
or something.
Really?
Yeah, so he didn't think it was appropriate to come here and cough all over everybody.
Okay. Well, appreciate that.
You're welcome, Rose.
What's that?
Said you're welcome.
Said you're welcome.
Oh,
He's,
you-
he's got mechanic calls iPad.
oh,
That's
okay.
him.
You got the sore throat, Joe?
I got the strep throat.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought I
Oh,
had more
not
than
so
that.
good.
I lost all my taste and stuff, so went down. I was going to get checked out for COVID, but the doctor didn't seem to think I had that, so that was good.
that's very good.
Yes, it is.
When we do votes, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Because he's on. he's
Okay.
on.
All
All votes will be roll call. yeah.
okay.
So I will
Call roll.
start at my left and go around.
You got a fever, Joe? You must be off.
No, I didn't have a fever. That's why they didn't press the COVID thing a whole lot. Didn't have a fever, wasn't nauseous at all. I just had a wicked cough and sore throat, and I lost all my taste. So that's what worried me.
Wow. Well, sorry to hear that.
I'm getting better though.
That's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to have to start bringing mine.
Oh, I,
I guess. I don't like using that. I think maybe I'm going to have to start asking for hard copies too.
well, I can't live without a hard copy.
At least have a full packet here
Yeah, that's,
you know.
okay. Joe, did you get a message from Lauren?
Not today. I didn't. Not on
Okay,
my.
then it's probably tomorrow.
Okay. Does it tell you how to get on, Rose?
She said she's sending an email.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll be looking for it.
I don't sure what this is.
Can you talk?
Hello.
Got any turkeys you're fattening up for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, just the other pasture. Yeah. Oh, I'm small.
Wow.
Matt Gary owns a farm out in South Paris.
Joe's not here. Joe's on Zoom. He just had strep throat.
That's a lot of work.
So we're gonna be doing roll call on any vote. Oh,
That's good.
People who had backed out now are calling them to come back.
wide open spaces over there.
Yeah. Amazing what 1 week will do, huh? Now I get Maine at mail at 108 Lewiston Street, huh?
No Joe tonight?
He has strep throat, so he's on Zoom.
Oh, that was God. How are you guys? How'd you do with the, goal?
Oh, I haven't heard from anyone. They said they did all right. It was on Facebook. What was it? Oh,
I don't know how they did. I'm not sure.
That was Beth Associates?
yeah.
Now, the envelopes you guys send out every year.
They didn't do that because COVID hit right at the time they kind of didn't want to vote.
Is that what it is? Okay, because I was just saying his envelope.
You know, they paid for all the mailings, they said that they'd probably do it in spring. Didn't want to bother anyone. This year. It was pretty
Yeah,
sad.
but usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody had- We only had two, had breakfast up there at Cracker Road and then this one. Give him a little bit of money to make it through the year.
I'm in a resident, Joe, so they do.
We drop it off in envelopes, and station, like,
Okay.
right to the mailbox. Association now.
Joe is on Zoom. He has had struck throat, he's not quite over it.
Okay.
We'll be doing roll call for each vote.
Well, you've been hoarding my mail.
I guess so. I don't think you, I always forget to give it to you guys because you're here, so sorry. And then I go to the mailbox, I'm like, oh, I should give them their mail.
Thank you.
Just to transfer over um, from back to Lisa. What is this?
This is the regular weekly one. The weekly check record.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, but
We have a lot of.
I already talked to 700. I think we should, more, 41. Oh, yeah. You can get like, oh, and I think in July, we have 30 something. So, well,
Norma. Sydney Hall.
yeah. Thank you. I bet you're going to. Oh. From what I heard, they said that it was 10,000. But they have like 5. So.
Julie, my iPad's trying to sign in as Wayne Hackett. It's like all messed up. It's not that fast. It's too fast. It's not your I need to update. the
You know what happened? That I had to do that.
So what should I do? I'm gonna have to look on my phone for my agenda items.
Hello, how are you? Yeah, they're up here. I'll get them.
I have that pen.
Sure.
You want me to just do a bigger?
You want a paper one? I have a paper one, but I have the whole thing. I want. Like,
You want the
I
full?
scroll through. No, no, it's okay. I'll just scroll through it on my phone.
Okay.
Do you need the agenda?
No, I have the agenda and I have what I need. It's just, I like it on that, it's bigger and I can scroll back.
I have an extra copy.
Okay, well, I'll just send that to you when I need it.
I printed it off and I had one right here. So.
Yeah.
I think I have that.
Has anybody heard how Dennis is doing?
He's had a half a dozen surgeries. And they took the feeding tube out last I heard. But that was about a week ago.
Like that? Okay. I didn't change it. Okay.
Call the meeting to order.
United States of
States
America.
of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four councilors present and Emery is on Zoom.
Here,
Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of October 5th.
I make a motion.
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Rose?
Just- Yes.
Tasha,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and I vote yes also.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the department reports as submitted.
So move.
I second it.
Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Okay.
It's for Lisa, but I guess I can ask. How come that all the CIP money has been moved to the reserve accounts?
So when we budget for the CIP, it's out of our operating budget. So once we get into the new fiscal year, she'll move it to the reserve accounts, like the savings accounts. So that's why it looks like 100% hit. So the money moved from the operating budget into the non-lapsing reserve accounts. So it takes it,
So it's been taken out.
it expends it out of our operating budget, but it drops it right into the savings account.
Okay, so that's where it is.
So that's what'll carry forward every year.
Okay, and the same thing with the, we paid off the rural development loan,
Yes.
which was the money for
Yes.
22 Pleasant.
That
So-
money was paid off and that account was closed out.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions.
How do you vote, Tasha?
I had one
Oh,
question.
okay,
too.
sorry.
It's the first time I've had an opportunity to review of Mechanic Falls Water Department. Do they typically run over at this time of year with their budgeting? A lot of the items, some high ticket items, DWSRF bond. I'm not familiar with that. Could you explain that, please?
Let me pull it up. And the water department is on a different fiscal year than us, so they will be wrapping up the end of December. So they're much further along in their year-to-date reports.
Okay, I still am curious what that DWSRF bond account, because it's $46,000. Just my own information, please.
Wasn't? A couple months ago, wasn't there something we were saving for the replacement? No?
It was something,
We,
Okay, yeah, I think so.
he's been saving for that and we were waiting. We didn't get the first round grant for the replacement generator, the backup generator and pump for the pumping station. We did approve the money for the materials to do the Clifford Street development extension. You are on DW.
Third item down, account 221A in the fiscal statement.
So it's a bond for a piece of equipment for the water line. I'd have to look up that code and see what that is for you, but I can let you all know.
Okay. It just explains now that they're at the end of their fiscal year where they're starting to get higher. I'm looking at through the percentages here and finding it's higher versus, our normal fiscal year, which will run into summer next year. So,
Correct.
that was my only concern. Just curious.
We met again today and he said he's going to be under 100% for the bottom line. And we are looking to schedule the workshop for their budget. So the council sets the budget for the water department because you also serve as water department trustees. So there'll be one workshop. We're looking to set it before the next council meeting. And then in December, we'll be looking for the council to approve the water department budget. So it's a standalone budget that doesn't go in front of voters.
One last question. The project they did over at Sunnyside, was that budgeted on this financial statement?
Should come out of it, yes. But I'd have to double check what line they ran it out of. Because they were also using they had a CIP as well for lines and mains, that they have a material larger purchase CIP. I think they took some out.
Okay, and the labor was just salaried labor, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, all right, that explains that. Okay.
okay, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So it's unanimous.
Yep.
Zach, is the room set up so that people in there can hear
Yes.
what's going on? Okay, because I saw somebody peek around the door.
Oh, if there are some back there, they should, and they can holler out if they can't hear through the TV. But there is a separate monitor in the back room for an overflow room, so people can see if they can't fit in this room.
I guess things give me the thumbs up, so we're all set there. The next article, public hearing for 420 Farmer marijuana retail.
So similar to what we do with alcohol licensures annually through the council. And within our changes to the land use for the marijuana retail or operational businesses, they'll need to come in front of the council every year for an annual approval. So this is a similar process. We'll open the public hearing, see if there's any comments from the public. And then at the end of the council, when we get into the meeting, when we get down to ordinance resolves and policies and licenses, the council can look for motions to approve those. So first one is 420 Farmer Retail. And I do believe this is Mr. Clar. Mr. Clar, is there anything you do want to say, or is there anything to open it? And then we'll open it up to general comments.
It's not.
You unmuted yourself, but I still can't hear you. Are you good with that? Okay, chime in if you do. Is there anybody else online or present who wants to speak to 420 Pharma Retail on Pleasant Street?
Just barely hear him through the TV a little bit. I don't know if it's a volume issue or not.
And you guys are hard to hear too, guys.
It may be background sound from someone else as well. Bob, are you good? And no other comments from people in the room? Hearing none, do you want to close that
We'll close the
public hearing?
420 Farmer marijuana retail public hearing and open for 44 Pigeon Hill.
This is the same process. This is retail at 44 Pigeon Hill.
Paula.
Paula Stotts, 87 Standpipe Road. I'm on the planning board, and after we had our planning board meeting, some information that had not been disclosed to the planning board by the applicant showed up in my email box that Mr. Monahan has been criminally charged for marijuana issues in New York State. So my question is, the law says, the Maine state law says that if they've had any issues with the law, they're not allowed to be licensed. So does that null and void what the planning board did? And how do we figure that out? Because I've made a call to Maine Municipal and I haven't heard back yet.
Do you have an answer?
So from what we put forward, we do one step and then they'll have to get their background check from the state. And I believe if they have an issue getting their background check from the state, then they wouldn't be able to move forward. But we don't do that portion of it ourselves.
Okay, and we're not in any way liable for what we've done at this point with not having that information and then finding it out after the fact. Okay, just wanted to cover our butts.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. TJ there, 6 Lane Road. In the case of 44 Pigeon Hill, I filed for a notice of appeal in the October 19th decision to grant 44 Pigeon Hill a permit for marijuana retail in the town. So I'm waiting to hear back from the town as to when we can schedule my appeal hearing as to their granting. After the meeting, I went through the ordinances and I discovered that there was multiple procedural errors as well as omissions and actions performed by the code enforcement and the planning board, and the permit should not have been granted. I went on to outline 9 of the biggest ones in my notice of appeal that I filed with the town on, I believe it was the Tuesday after October 9th. So that is available for you guys to check out. There are some quite large discrepancies in the application and in the applicant. So I would like to ask the town council to at least table the decision to grant 44 Pigeon Hill a decision tonight until we can go through the appeals board processing.
You have an answer?
Alan, are you present? You want to respond?
Alan Plummer, Code Enforcement Officer. I did get Mr. Thayer's letter, and I have been looking into those items. Most items are not relevant, I found, although it says that it's procedural on my behalf, so I don't know that I'm the person that gets to say whether it's right or wrong.
Can we get a copy of that?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah, can I have a copy of that, please?
A lot of the things aren't relevant regarding the application. The one thing I do have outstanding was a comment about high value waterfowl area being impacted within 250 feet. I do have a call out to the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. I don't believe that will be an issue. The distance is, it would be marginal. It would be very close to touching that area. But also it's an existing building. It's not a new building that they're building for this project. So my assumption is it would have been permitted previously. It's an existing building. It's been in use for a significant amount of time. The use that you're talking about today, granting marijuana retail for Mr. Monahan, doesn't have anything to do with a new building. It's just a change in use from the 2 existing uses that would be stopped prior to starting a new use. So again, I don't think those are of any concern, but something to be looked at.
If he has an appeal, is there a process that for appeals that have to go forward appeals board?
So we have gotten a legal response on this, and I think there is a question as to whether or not the party that files the appeal needs to be aggrieved in some manner, and our attorney is not convinced that the party filing the appeal has an actual grievance outside of being another applicant for the same permit.
Did you have another comment?
Yeah. To mirror Mr. Plummer's comment about the change of use, there's quite a few things inside the marijuana subsection of the land use ordinance that were very specifically overlooked. One of the things, just going on his comment, for the buildings were slated for a change of use. The way that 44 Pigeon Hill was able to permit is they went from 2 uses with only enough road frontage for 1, and they're getting rid of an entire cultivation facility and entire storage, and they're opening just a retail store. Specifically in that marijuana land use ordinance, it says specifically any changes of use are cause for a new conditional use permit and have to be filed for at least 30 days before the anticipated change. So that was just one of the things that was very specific. Yeah. So also, I think another big discrepancy was that the fact that 44 Pigeon Hill right now is operating a cultivation facility illegally, and the fact that they don't have a town permit whatsoever. I checked the town's financials, and they have not paid any permitting fees, as Mr. Clark and I have. We both paid our retail fee, and as well as Mr. Clark also paid his cultivation fee. 44 Pigeon Hill has not paid any fees, so they have outstanding fees to the town, and outstanding, they have no license currently.
Ellen, you got a comment on that?
So the current caregiver operation that's going on is permitted to the town. It's permitted as a rental property through Mr. the owner of the property, Mr. Garcia. Did I get his name right? I think it's right. Is that right? He permitted it to be a rental building for caregivers. So there are caregivers operating in there. They're not operating a grow facility. They're individual caregivers that are renting from Mr. Garcia. So that is permitted, is a permitted use. And what the planning board offered was to stop, or they proposed it was proposed by Mr. Monahan that they conditionally grant him the permit based on his stopping the 2 uses. So that's a condition placed on by the planning board for him to stop 2 uses prior to starting a retail use. So that's a condition placed by the town on Mr. Monahan before he can start the rental operation.
So question, he would have to wait 30 days before he could start the retail? Is that what is in question or no?
There's no change of use happening per se. The condition placed by the planning board says, before you start a retail operation, you'll stop both of these uses, not change their use. You'll stop the 2 uses you currently have. Storage facility and the caregiver rental operation will be stopped prior to starting the retail marijuana operation. So it's not a change in use per se. The condition actually says you'll stop these uses prior to starting this retail use. So that's semantics, but
And it was approved by the planning board?
yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, and we do have the funds for the application for Mr. Monahan. We have it in the safe. So he submitted that. Those funds.
Yep, one more. One time this. Please.
2 things. Very specifically, it does say in the cannabis land use ordinance that any termination of a previously permitted facility has to go through a change of use permit application. So although it is a termination of 2 uses, it's still a change and has to be filed. It's very specific inside the ordinance. Also, moreover, 44 Pigeon Hill had back, I don't know how many of you guys were on the council back in last January when we were going through this whole permitting process. When Mr. Clark and I worked together along with the council members and Zach and among others to write this current ordinance, we gave all cultivators in the town up until April 1st, 2020 to declare themselves. Otherwise, they would have to go through a planning board approval. They never declared themselves at 44 Pigeon Hill. None of the cultivators there whatsoever. They are running an active cultivation facility there. So what that would mean, since they did not declare themselves, they would have to go through a planning board approval before, just to get approval for what they had then and before they could apply for new permits.
Hey, you have some comment? No.
I'm not sure that I have enough information from everything that's been thrown at me here. And I don't even have the complaint and the information. I don't know what we should do here because it's like all kinds of new information. And
it is, this is the first time that we've processed these applications.
right.
For all of us as well. I think there is the opportunity to, once we get to it, that if we want to table it, we can table it and work the rest of it out. We only recently got the response back from the attorney, and we're processing that on our side. Most of them, I think, are negligible concerns or just not accurate, and we'll break those down as we process it. But I'd like to have time to compile that information and
so it's
clarify
semantics
that.
and understanding of the ordinance.
Yeah.
And
Correct, and I think some of it has to go to motivation as well.
Okay, we can close this
If there's
hearing at this
no
time.
other comments on this one, do we want to close the public hearing? Is there anybody online that does want to speak to this for 44 Pigeon? I don't see any hands, so hearing none.
All right, the public hearing is closed. Now, old business.
Comments from the public.
Oh. Haven't we've heard all of the comment.
Those are the
Yeah.
public hearings.
So the next one is 7.1.
No.
Nope, we're still. Do
Oh, I jumped.
general.
Okay, all right. All right, Paula. You both had public in the statement, Dan. That
All right.
I'm confused, easily confused.
Paula Stotts, 87 Standpipe Road. I have two questions. The attorney, the town attorney. What are we going to do about him? Are we going to be seeking a new town attorney?
That, I think that's in your,
I can put it out. We have an RFP ready for about a year. If the council indicates that they want me to put out an RFP, I can run an RFP for new legal counsel for them.
I'm asking the council, please give him permission to put out a new RFP.
okay, that your,
My other question is, we have 70, I think it's like 71 acres up on Jordan Lane Road that we got back through lien holding. And the prior to you guys council chose not to put it out on the market and to hold on it. With the market as hot as it is right now, I would like the council to consider maybe listing it because it may be a way for the town to make some money. I can't remember the address.
It's on Lane Road.
Okay.
Yes, so this almost back up to 26. We did pull a little bit of preliminary information in 2018 about this process. 2019. So what we've done in the meantime is we had the discussion then, and PW wanted to poke around and do some test sites to see if we can pull gravel out of there for a year before we list it. So that's where we are now, is waiting for them to.
We haven't heard back from them.
They did their test holes and they think that there's usable gravel up there and fill. And when we're looking at also potentially having to cap the landfill again, they want to see what we can extract from there to use it before we sell the property.
Okay.
We're still in that
All right,
process.
because they were saying on the news this weekend that real estate has skyrocketed to the point where, you know, if the town wants to make some money, this would probably be the time for the town to make some money.
And I'd like to get it back on the tax rolls when we can as well.
anybody? Yes.
Sandra Ballard, 24 Clifford Street. And I know I can't mention any names, but there was a counselor, not last meeting, the meeting before, that said that maybe CMMC was interested in buying the building back. And I was just curious about if you've heard anything about that.
I haven't.
We have followed up and I'm not positive yet that there's an interest. And then I can get into the 22 Pleasant Street updates when we do get down
Yeah,
there. But
that's what I thought. And I have another question, just for my own information. Last week, two different people complained about somebody. And when they do that to the council, does the council do anything about that? Or what's their next step? I was just curious what happened about that.
Well, I guess this is probably a good time as any. One of the comments that was made about being not permitted for certain things, that issue has been all taken care of. It was taken care of by the way that it should have been presented in the first place. That shouldn't have come to the council. It should have gone to Alan. Yeah. When you have problems about permits or whatever, that's your man. That's where it should go.
I have business cards if anyone needs them.
Alan's really good at handling concerns and complaints and all of our problems.
Comment, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I believe in the rules of order and procedures for the Mechanicsville Town Council that I can't find it right now, but it does state that members of the council shall not be embarrassed or
True, and that was, I was blindsided by that, and I should have been more on the ball because it shouldn't have even happened. Yes,
I thought those rules of order were for the conduct and activity of the council members.
what is it for the council is for the public as well.
So how do you guys want the public, when they have an issue with one of y'all, to address it in the future then?
Well, I would,
And make sure that it gets seen to.
one of two things. If it's something to do with ordinances, Alan. If it's other issues, bring it to Zach's attention or to my attention. Yes?
We have forms, complaint forms for citizens, that you can complain about anything you want, and you get a carbon copy of that. So
Oh,
we have those. Whenever, if anyone has a complaint about something, come to me, I give you a form. And you've got a record of it. You can follow up with me. And that complaint gets to me.
and if he doesn't take care of it, talk to Zach. And then if he doesn't take care of it, I guess it falls in my lap.
Goes uphill.
Any other questions? Okay.
Are there any comments from the online community?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one other thing. The charter changes. Have you guys decided or figured out how we can go about getting the charter changes done?
We'll take that later. Did you have questions?
I'll cancel that for right now. It was on the attorney, as long as we abide by the charter. And I think that the town manager has choose the attorney and the
Yeah,
council.
he puts out, what do you call it, RFP?
RFP. So we can,
To find out if anyone is interested, and then he picks the one he would like, and we have,
Subject to review
All right.
and discretion by the
Yeah.
council.
and I think the same in with a very literal interpretation of the way the charter is written, that even if I unilaterally removed the attorney, the council would have to approve that removal as well. So
any other question? Okay, public comments are closed. Now, we can take up 7.1?
Yep.
Council discussion topics. Anybody have anything you want to bring up?
I do.
You do.
Yes, I would like to talk about the codification process for all the ordinances and such. Cost, what do we need to do?
So the primary ballpark quote before we started our scanning was about $10,000 to $12,000 to put everything into one place, and then scan it into a working modifiable document in the future, and that also give us a list of the inconsistencies that they find between different ordinances and land use. We have gotten through a lot of the scanning, because it also incorporates all the meeting minutes to make sure and go back and track everything from when stuff was done. So we've scanned everything, all the meeting minutes from the 80s forward to now is now in digital form. We have our ordinance books are scanned now as well. And now what we have is we're kind of on the last conversation utilizing AvCog when it comes to our land use code and our comprehensive plan, and really where we want to go first. Should we really codify everything now and figure out where it is, or do we want to actually look at the comp plan process first before we spend the money to codify it? the comprehensive plan is something municipalities have to put forward every 12-ish years, 10 years, which really states kind of a direction from a land use point of view. Where do we want to go? So we have one from the 90s. That was the third.
It was finalized in 2013, we started it in 2009.
And that really spells out a little bit more of kind of what direction we want to go in. If it talks about taking, kind of recommendations from a planner's point of view that we want to really consolidate development in downtown districts and make changes to road frontage requirements or densities. And that's more of an kind of a specialist. We had a price last time AvCog did it. But the codification conversation is something we can have and we can budget for it. And the goal is to work it into the next coming budget, whether it's we can CIP it and spread it out over a couple of years, or we can really kind of take it on. We can't fit it in the operating budget if we really wanted to try and pull the trigger. The upside is over the last 7-ish months, we've gotten most of the scanning done so that we're really close to ready to move forward when we do have the money to do it. And I only have had a conversation with two companies, kind of one ballpark quote from one company called General Code out of the Midwest that does this work. And they have a team of attorneys that would review everything, all of our meeting minutes for decades, all of our ordinances, and then compile that with a list of all of their recommended changes, as well as our charter.
Process.
Yes.
And we've done the scanning,
We've done,
and now we need the money.
Well, we need to make sure our ordinances line up with our current company.
in part of that, because when they do the codification, they don't necessarily bring in the comp plan, because that's almost like a non-binding wish list of ideals and directions.
But would this be the time though that we would talk about road frontage changes and things sort of updating it, because some of these ordinances are from early on.
Correct.
And things weren't digital.
Well, and that's, and I'd love input on that, because I think I could argue either way, whether or not, do we want to fix the pile of ordinances and governance docs that we have now, and then, once we fix it, start working on a new comp plan or a new direction? Is that a cleaner process than doing a whole new comp plan, figuring out exactly kind of what direction we want to go in, and then working that into it as we fix the process? I'm almost leaning towards getting it scanned, getting the codification process done first, and then we know exactly kind of where we are. So when we go down to do a comp plan, then all those revisions that would be necessary would be a little more clean cut.
So how does the comp plan come about?
It would be another committee.
And a lot of research, a lot of conversations with the community.
Either a specialist or AvCog can provide some of those services as well. They're not cheap.
It costs us $35,000.
Yep. Just for the comp plan. And that is a state requirement that we run the comp plan every 10 years.
So do we have that? Do we have that money yet?
We have some CIPs you could potentially put towards it, but we don't have a specific CIP for a comp plan. We need to start CIPing it.
Still 3 years out. We can budget for 3 years.
And what we're hitting for kind of some stumbling blocks is after the last comp plan was done, I don't want to say codification, it's different than the codification that we're looking to have done, but taking the recommendations from the comp plan weren't carried forward into all of our land use and all of our ordinances. I think there was a lot of kind of turnover around that era in the code office that didn't take that project all the way forward into what we have for a land use code, which is why the land use code still somewhat contradicts what the comp plan was asking for, like smaller road frontage requirements and higher density lots.
So when was the land use?
Yeah, no, that's been there for a while, but the last real revision. I think it was adopted last in 99, and then we've made a couple of revisions in the past 2 years here, but the last overhaul was in the 90s.
And what was supposed to happen and didn't happen because everybody left. We approved it as a town and everybody left.
So that probably should be brought up when we start talking about the budget.
That's a significant issue on a regular basis. I got a call today that asked, can I build on this lot? That should be a simple question, but it's not when you don't know when the ordinances that are in place came in place. So I can't even research back to find out when our ordinances happened to say you can build on this or not,
Whether they were grandfathered in or not.
because they just can't. Fine.
So the codification is what you think should be done first.
I think it would be a cleaner process to kind of clean up everything we have, and then we can kind of take off all the low-hanging fruit. But knowing, I mean, planning board especially has had some very kind of productive, forward-thinking things that they want to do, like the road frontage requirements, that we can kind of piecemeal as we move if they want to go in that direction and put it in front of you. But getting the whole thing cleaned up and then getting into a usable, searchable document would be really nice, because even all the scans that we have aren't searchable. So if we're looking for a topic and we have to find a set of meeting minutes from 82, we get to go through all of them and read it instead of just control Fing it.
Okay.
I can work on pulling together new quotes for that too, so we get a better idea. And then when we start meeting beginning of next year, we'll know how much we need to look for, and then we figure out how long we want to put it out.
Right, I just see a lot of things coming forward where there's a lot of contradiction, and it's making Alan's job, he can't answer a question. And if we have, I mean, just like tonight, this, we go back to the ordinance, but it doesn't match this other one, and we've got to have.
I can pull more information together for next month as well to see if, and then I can see we have some admin and we haven't broken down all of our CIP accounts. So they're normally, traditionally they've just been aggregated by department. So anything that would fall under admin is only separated by admin or building. And I can see if we can free up some CIP money that we already have if we want to move forward with it before next fiscal year.
I think that is important to at least look at, because if we start this process.
Right. Yeah, we got more scanning done than I thought. So, and it'd make Alan's life easier.
Well, and it makes this poor man's job difficult because on page, say, 89, it says one thing, but then in page 120, it, to a degree, you know, on a particular topic might contradict what it's saying. Or you may find in three different places within what we currently have to work with, three different ordinances that all conflict and make it almost impossible to know if you choose one, which one is going to be right or which one's going to bite you in the butt.
More important than my job is your townspeople don't have a place to go to find ordinances, a solid place to see. So there are some towns you can go. If you want to go to Lisbon, Lisbon's webpage, you can search for something, boom, anything that lists that word pops up. You can find out if it tells you the date that it's adopted. Those things. That's important. If you don't know the rules to follow, then you'll follow the rules. You're just-
It makes it difficult for the
Everyone else set? Okay. 22 Pleasant Street.
I've talked to Chad. They had a little bit of interest in the beginning. They've done signage swaps, they've done social media pushes, and it's listed commercially, and it's listed on the 2 state real estate sites. We don't have anything currently. I've been asked by a local business if we'd consider leasing short-term, about 1,000 square feet, a few offices out of there. And if the council wants me to continue down that road, I can. just for someone looking for short-term office space, they wouldn't need much. And I've preliminarily reached out to Chad to see if that would become a concern when it comes to either showing or selling. If they're not looking for anything long-term, it may not be that big of a deal. But right now we kind of have it, I'll say mothballed, heat's down low and we're not doing much. It could be extra revenue. As a municipality, I'm not super excited about being a landlord though. But I wanted to bring that idea in front of you if it's something you want me to continue with or not.
What you feeling?
Short term doesn't work. Doesn't work.
We'd have to put money
You'd
into it.
you'd definitely compromise any potential buyers. That would negate their interest immediately. We could get a long-term lease and recapture our overhead expenses on that, and possibly generate some revenue over our expenditure on it. That would be profitable.
Okay.
But other than that, it's negative.
I like the idea of the rest of it.
Right.
Yeah. How long, we haven't had it on the market very long. About a month,
14 months. Yeah, about a month under the new.
under the new
Broker.
people.
Yep.
I certainly would like to give them a chance.
I don't think anybody's making any big investments until Wednesday anyway.
Yeah.
So. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Town manager's contract. Everybody has seen the latest from Jack Conway.
Council Chair,
Yeah, he changed one word.
Joe's asking for you.
Council Chair, may I speak to this?
Yes.
Because we have had a latest amendment written up for the 2-year contract to address the concerns that the council had last month on a couple of items. I noticed that the typo about the vacation times been taken care of to be worded correctly. And actually the other issue about the residency of the town manager is actually a moot point in this case, as he already fulfills the requirement for where the town manager needs to live as being the town manager of the town. I would like to propose a motion to go ahead and accept this contract, latest revision that is given.
You have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Just, excuse me. Council waives the requirement of the town charter.
No.
That's what mine
Well, that's
says.
not the latest one.
Okay, so it says extends on the latest. Is that what it says?
Actually, if I understood Jack when he talked to me, that the requirement of the town manager's residency is in the charter and he says it's never been in a contract. Well, one contract we know he is not in C. So we can extend, we have the authority to extend the residency requirement to whatever, the end of the contract or whatever. There's no limit on how long we can extend that or how many times we extend it. On to him.
Jack's latest version, I don't think he changed that line.
Council Chair,
Yes,
is it not a moot point? He actually fulfills the requirement, so it actually doesn't need to be in there in the first place. The town manager, the town manager meets the requirement.
So I currently meet the proposed. So the language that was proposed in the personnel policy was adopted from the proposed language. If we jump in your packet, it's down towards 8.7, the residency recap charter history. So this stems from the 2007, 2006 Charter Commission, when they started redrafting it, there was a list of changes in 2001 that were omitted when they started the new process. Within the 2010 Charter Commission process, the language that is in the personnel policy was proposed, but it wasn't put in front of the voters. So the residency require stands the way that it is in the current charter. It conflicts with the personnel policy, yes. Charter does trump that. And I think that's what they noticed by the subsequent contract renewal for Mr. Hawley had that exact same language in there. That language wouldn't have needed to be there if they had successfully updated the charter. So the charter hasn't been updated to allow for that 10-mile radius. Does that make sense?
Any other questions?
So if we just change the verbiage that says extends on that,
That's what we're going to do.
it's a simple correction.
Well, the way he wrote this last copy, the requirement for residency is not in that contract. You must have a earlier version.
The one that he mailed to you all is the one I put in the packet, and that part wasn't updated. So he did update the
Okay.
language that Rose caught, but he didn't update that. So if you want to consider it with an amendment, then you can process it without sending it back to Jack again.
So instead of waive, it's extend.
That's all.
I think it's, every time we do something like this, we change the course of how things, like these ordinances, we we set precedent for the next time, and then we can't go back. So every time we change, or we don't follow suit. So I think that if we go ahead and sign this contract, that we need to revisit in the future, that we're, and possibly the personnel policy, that they match. It needs to align so that there's no, that there's just a go-to. Go here, you can find it.
Yes.
Norma Crabtree, 23 Highland Avenue, Mechanic Falls. I have a couple of questions in regards to residency. I believe that Corinne Lowe, town manager prior to Zach, did not live in Mechanic Falls.
Correct.
Pardon me?
Correct.
Corinne. And when Fred Collins was appointed, while Zach was in limbo, Fred did not live in town. So you've got two precedents right there.
Yes.
And this is one of the. Paula Stotts, 87 Standpipe Road. This is one of the things, another reason why we need to do a charter modification or have a charter commission reenacted, because there's a lot of conflicts between policies, ordinances, and our charters, and things that we as town residents were told by the commission were going to be in there. This only, having to live within 8 or 10 miles, and then it not winding up in the charter. And shame on us, because we trusted that what the Charter Commission told us at the meetings was going to happen. So we just agreed to it without going through every line. But this is one of many things that needs to be rectified sooner rather than later, if possible.
I will entertain a motion.
You've got a motion to.
Oh, we already got it
approve
there.
as
So I
presented.
mean, yep. So
So what do we need the amendment now?
I motion to write line D Section 10, council extends the requirement of the town charter not to live within the town.
Okay, that's the amendment. Okay. So we'll vote on the amendment first. All in favor?
Any discussion?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Did you get a
What?
second for that amendment?
Oh, okay.
I'll second it. So we can discuss it.
Right.
You have something to say?
We can't amend the charter.
What was that?
We can't amend the charter.
The charter says that the council has the authority to extend the requirement of living in town. That's in the charter. Anything else? All in favor of the amendment? Roll call.
Yes.
Ray? Tasha?
Yeah.
No.
Joe?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So it's 4-1. Now we can vote on the motion. And it's going to be a roll call vote. And I'll stand on my left.
No.
Tasha said yes. Ray?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So it's 4-1. Now we go to new business. Oh, I think we have a couple of guys here that are interested in this one.
You gotta check out his new gator first, though.
Probably they wished we'd brought that up the very first thing. All right, so we're gonna, it asks for a motion. Now, you want to just enlighten us again as to what you're getting? If we vote yes?
Can you hit the mic for me? Sorry, John. Can you use the podium? John needs to hear.
John Damon, Deputy Chief of the Fire Department. So what we talked about last meeting, to my understanding, was I presented to you guys a new Ranger, looking into purchasing a new Ranger to replace the one that's broken, that we weren't able to get parts for anymore. That was owned by the association. So I went further into it. I put up a spec sheet. Zach sent out the spec sheet to 7 different vendors. Only 2 vendors actually responded back, and they were both Polaris vendors. And this is what we got back. I put in the how you mentioned you wanted a crew tab for it, so I added that in there, and then I got away from looking at just Polaris and opened it up again to everybody. We had John Deere, Kubota, and
Can-Am.
Can-Am, and that we sent it to.
Okay. I think unless does anyone have questions for him?
You have a preference on the options?
Because they were so close, the more local one is actually just a little bit more expensive, and I feel over time, the local dealer would probably be cheaper, just for maintenance wise. We're not traveling as far, we're not taking it as far, and that is my preference. I don't know what the chief has to say in regards to that, but I think keeping it local would be better. My mind. Well, that's what we did when we bought the pickup truck. It also was rescue with local, because we had some kids from the healthcare for them, and just trying to get a warranty work, and someone's volunteering to take it out. Either to go
This
off and self-care.
this is the one in Lewiston?
No, that would be mainly action right out of Oxford.
Oh, yep.
Wilkesville.
Okay.
So these are actually broken into option 1 and 2 for the actual UTV, and then the skid unit is broke up in option A and B. Neither of those are that local. So do you want to talk about the rack?
Skid unit?
Yep.
So the skid unit, there's two main companies that provide it. Chemtech which is actually out of Vermont, which is more local. And then there's Mtech, which is out of California. Chemtech was a little more expensive, but it has a higher horsepower motor. And it's a metal body with a poly tank, where Mtech is actually all poly. And I am a little concerned about wear and tear on a poly tank being bounced around on the back of a UTV through the woods. And if anybody, a skid unit is the tool or piece of equipment that we slide in the tailgate area of the Polaris or the UTV. It has a pump on it, has hose on it, has foam on it, and then it also has a part on it that we can put a backboard or a stoke, so we could do rescues on it, including fire suppression.
Question? Option 1 and option 2, the GVWs on these units, do they vary? Are they both rated the same GVW so that you can put equipment on?
The difference between option 1 and option 2 is literally just a color.
Okay,
So it's the same exact thing.
So they're hauling and pulling and horsepower capabilities are virtually the same.
All identical. And Chemtech actually built their quote on the Ranger platform to fit a Ranger 1000. That's actually one reason why they went the 55 or 70. They're actually suggesting we go down to a 55-gallon tank due to less weight capacity, because 70 gallons of water just adds a lot with 4 adult males or females in that unit also.
It affects the center of gravity also.
Then when you fill the Stokes basket.
Mhm.
So are you wanting the one from Mainly Action Sports and the Chemtech? Is that what you're?
Correct.
So is that option 1?
1 in A.
1 a day, okay.
Will they entertain a price match?
I don't know the answer to that.
I
don't know. Can we even do that?
You can always ask. They can say no.
Yeah, if they don't read the paper, maybe they'll go through with it. The one thing I do want to make sure that we at least have in our mind as well is, so our current running balance for this year's CIP for the fire rescue, for everything for fire rescue except the air tanks, is 242.9 right now. So this would drop us down to about 200,000 in our CIP for our next fire truck replacement and most of our equipment. So when we get to budget season, I want to make sure that we keep that in mind as well, that our CIP is going to be pretty lean when it comes to having to replace our next engine or vehicle or big breakdown.
And when is the next one? Soon.
3 years.
But how much are they?
How much are they?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Very expensive.
Truck over there was 380.
Yeah, well, so if we have 200, and how much do we put in it each year?
So
Oh, that's
we
very
did,
intermediate.
and
One year
that's
we didn't do anything.
what I want to make sure is that we don't, and I know neighboring towns completely cut their CIP budgets this year, just trying to react to COVID. And I want to not run necessarily the same direction. We'll be good for that truck, and then we'll have another truck beyond that. So it's just that constant savings. We did 75 into the CIP this current year, and I think that'll keep us on a better plan. We're still trying to work together to come out with our forecasting purchase plan for all of the equipment, so that we can take every truck we have and every large piece of equipment and actually at least indicate where we think we're going to be, whether it's 2025, 2030 for these replacements, so that we can start working our math backwards. We just haven't gotten our CIP. That is included. That money's been moved now, yeah.
Question. Value of this ATV versus an extended period on a pumper, a new fire truck. What has more value to you as a chief?
That would be, I didn't really hear the question, so sorry.
The expenditure of the money for this ATV unit, which is, I feel is necessary, because of the, it opens up our access that we previously couldn't access. What is more important to you? The ATV services versus extending our purchase
Okay, now I get.
over
Right now,
possibly a year?
I'd say the ATV, because we've already had, one fire just off, Pleasant Street and by the railroad track, an ATV burnout. Last summer, been, that's kind of a experimental model, but they are out there, they burned it out. We've had the rescue run already. We've had the fire on Upper Pleasant that went between North and South, and it wasn't with the club jumping in and transporting us up in there. We had a long hike up in there. And, no, I think for the recreation use in this town, because snow flood and everything, and you've seen how they're doing one in any shop right now. Like, I just drive by Fireman's Field and just see all the talent and pick up Saturday sitting up there. I think it'd be a well worth investment for us to get out there in a timely manner rather than that calling a phone call trying to find someone to go get on. Like last time, I had to go find a trailer to bring mine down so I could get into the emergency. I think it'd be well worth it.
That brings me to my next question. How do we plan on transporting? Do we have a trailer available?
Well, in this budget year, we have budgeted for a enclosed trailer on this. We have an old homemade one right now. Scott Penny lent us, we put some tires on it. Got to run it for the old ATV, but it will not handle this new one because of the extended length of the pole and the tracks on. So I was saying we keep the same money for this trailer and just purchase it, make sure it's not fit, so we can put it in there and transport it right with the Ford pickup.
So we also have a pickup truck that we can.
Yeah, we have a one-ton pickup station.
So we have the means
Yeah.
of transportation. Okay, that was a missing link.
Okay. Yeah, we got that in 2000. Friend was here, 17, I think that's 17. Yeah, 17, and the rescue, bought the rescue and pick up the same time.
So we have all the pieces together.
Yeah, as soon as we get a trailer and everything comes together, we can haul it. No problem. What we're using now.
Questions? Anybody else?
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, keep it forward, maybe, for a second.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea, and I have a question. Does that come with the tracks at that price in option one?
Yeah, Pete, that does come with, both options did have the tracks and actually has a cab, semi-cab on it also.
Good, because I think that's great for the summertime for you to get into your fires. And also out snowmobiling, if you've got some accidents and the tracks are on for the winter, it makes it a lot easier than trying to call people up and get snow machines and toboggan out there. I think it's great. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Any questions? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the UTV bid award for the mainly action.
Does it need to be two separate motions for the different pieces or
Does
just
it
one?
need to be two
You can
separate
do them
motions?
as one if you want to do that and
As
one of the
option
ski
one and
units.
option A?
You want to add option A to your motion?
The smaller tank is the recommended tank, so that would be option.
It's option A.
Option.
Yes, Joe?
Option A.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. I don't think we need any more discussion, do we?
No, so you move option 1A, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Rose? Tasha,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
I'll vote yes too. It was done deal.
Process that tomorrow.
Now, let's see. 8.2, 35 Old Birch Lane.
Old Birch Lane, Alan may be able to help me with this. So in your map, I gave you a small portion of the map on Old Birch Lane. So it is signified as lot 21-30. You can see the approved, this is a small section of the approved plan. Remember what year that was? I don't know. So this was the approved subdivision land. So the realtor selling or representing the buyer was told that because the plan looks like it's in the no cut buffer, that hash mark along the road, that they wouldn't be able to get title insurance on the property unless they had something substantive from the town stating that we wouldn't take any action against them because their house was built in a no cut buffer. The no cut buffer is not something that we have in our ordinances. It was put in their plan, and you can see that they actually indicated the house was going to be in the no cut buffer. And I think again, it's kind of a semantic point of view from the title company's point, but we talked to Jack, and Jack prepared a waiver of the no cut buffer requirement. Essentially, it's a no action letter saying that whoever buys that property, we are not going to come in and tell them later that their house is where it shouldn't be.
Any questions? I'll entertain the motion.
I make a motion to approve the no action letter for 35 Old Birch Lane.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Rose?
Yes.
Tasha?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now, the next one is just information, isn't it?
Water department budget meeting. So if we can schedule, like I mentioned earlier, by December, we'll need to get the water department budget approved. So we want to sit down and have a workshop at 5 o'clock on the 7th, on December 7th, before our next council meeting. So we can sit down with Steve and walk through their budget.
And that'll give us enough time to do that.
And that'll be down here, Zach, down here
Yep,
at the
it'll
council
be-
chambers.
Right in the council chambers.
So that's just set then. We're setting that.
Yep.
Okay.
US Cellular Tower Arrangement.
So this was something they started asking for, and I pushed it off a little bit because we had a lot going on. And I told them that we weren't going to be getting anything specific from this meeting, but I'd at least bring it forward to you informationally. So the cell tower, that big behemoth up by the transfer station, we've been leasing since 1995. So they lease the land off from us. So it's on municipal property. They were originally paying us $275 a month for the lease, plus we get to tax them on the value of the property. And they've been annually adjusting it by consumer price index. They had a 10-year extension on their 2015, so the existing agreement isn't set to expire until 2025 anyway. Currently, with all of the increases, we're getting $427.77 per year from rental fees for the tower. That's essentially what they lease the entire footprint of the tower. So they proposed this amendment number 1 that is in front of us, which is essentially an extension for 40 years, potentially 40 more years at that rate. And I know I've talked to a couple of you individually that it may be an opportunity for us to kind of revisit what the value is. I think Councilor Lavoie specifically mentioned going rates may be a little higher. I have not done the research yet, but I can start if we want to put it off, I can start seeing what going rate is for these agreements in the area. The original agreement was for $275, and they'd give us 4 bag phones for the town to use. So we're not asking for the bag phones this time. You want one?
I already used, I had one.
Did you get it as part of the deal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the first cell phone we had.
Maybe you could upgrade to a smartphone now.
We did.
And sell the bag phone as an antique.
They've been there how long?
I do have a comment on that. So you guys,
Since 1995.
okay, that's good. I don't, First Service, Fire Chief, Mechanic Falls. Just so you have the information fully on this cell phone tower up there. As of right now, for many years now, US Cellular has been letting us keep our radio antenna. We have our repeater antenna off the top of we're not on the top of the tower. They keep us down a few feet. Also, Androscoggin Sheriff's, which is the police department, has a repeater up there too. And their antenna is a few feet from ours. So, and they're not charging us anything to use their antenna, their tower. And we have been using their electricity for close to, I don't know, 10 years better up there at the same time. So just so you take it in as if we think we're going to increase, but we also been getting a use out of it at no extra cost. I mean, we have a code to it, so we can go in there anytime we want, check on our radios and stuff. And that's one of the, and that wasn't ever in the original deal. When we signed this off, all we had was the bag phones. So they have been very good to us as we needed to upgrade, and never said no to us. The only thing they just said, you can't go to the top of the tower because that's where all their stuff is. So I just want to let you guys know about that.
Very good.
So did you say $427 a year? Is that what you said?
Per month.
Oh, per month.
Yep.
What do you think the value of having all of that gear up there is?
Oh, well, we just spent, we bought a whole new repeater box stuff over $20,000 on a radio. And I don't know what sheriff's is even a little more intense than I was sitting there. And I can't remember which town it was. Someone just actually, someone in like Wales somewhere, whoever they had, like another company, they started charging them like $300-400 a month rental fee just to put it on, keep it there. So you always got to take the good and the bad into it. So right now, this hasn't cost us anything, but it could cost quite a bit. If they, I don't know what they charge to put on a tower, but I know the other fire department was not ready for it on a budget cost just like that.
I can ask Marty too to see, because I know that the county has been dealing with that as well, and see what they're getting charged from other towers as well. Okay. We can figure value for value.
It sounds like we're getting a service from them as well. And I mean, if we made an increase, would it be significant enough revenue to put a dent in anything?
I'm not sure what the going rate for the towers is yet, and I can look at that as well. But knowing, the expenses and rationalizing it, I think a 40-year option for extension is, I mean, they're at a good rate and they really want to lock it in. We don't want them to go anywhere, but we want to be modern with the values.
Right.
Sure.
But in their lease agreement, it doesn't state anything about your equipment being there, so they could turn around and start charging us.
Correct.
So if we do move forward, we better stipulate that, we have
that it can stay.
Executive rights to use. Yeah, we got to protect ourselves with that.
I don't know if mine is just the tower.
Yes, it's not on town land, so I'm not sure the rates wise, but we don't have a tower on that, do we? No, I don't think mine. No, mine. I think got it in the agreement for theirs as well. So I can do more of that research, and we can move that forward.
We entered into since 95, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, so it's been 25 years, basically,
Close, yeah.
and they want 40 years?
4 10-year extensions.
Oh, okay, so we'd revisit it every 10 years. Okay.
Is each 10-year negotiable?
It was a very curt agreement. continuation of the same provisions by giving written notice. And all other aspects of the lease are hereby affirmed without change. So no, that would essentially lock the language in. And I think especially just to codify our current uses the way they are would be the best first step to move, to at least add it to this so that we can have that part of it covered as well.
Possibly change the verbiage to negotiable on every segment.
A lot can change in 40 years.
Yeah, 10 years. Jeez.
Okay, everybody done with the tower? Now the school board appointment.
8.5. So, sorry. Mr. Healy reached out the other day. They had Scott Lassard informed him that he relocated out of town so that he couldn't maintain his seat. They asked me to go back, and I approached, in order to get a quick refill, this would be an interim appointment, but Kelsey Earl was the third person who ran for the seat in the last election. And I asked if she would be interested in that just for the interim appointment, and she indicated yes. I did ask her to be here, and she apologizes. She is running the City of Auburn's council meeting Zoom session right now, so she couldn't be here herself to answer questions, but I at least wanted to put one idea in front of you if we were looking to just appoint an interim to the school board until the next general election in June.
So she fulfilled all the requirements to be on the ballot, correct?
Yep.
Qualified. She wants to do it.
Uh,
I don't know who she is.
I don't either. But,
She works in the
if she's
clerk's office in Auburn.
She was a write-in?
Yes, because we didn't have anybody that actually took out papers for the school board and then we go forward and ask to be writing.
Oh, okay.
So
So did she fill out the forms and stuff then, or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And the application is in the packet.
So we can approve her tonight?
you want to.
I'll make that motion, Council Chair.
All right.
approve.
Do I have a sec? Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? Rose,
Yes.
Tasha,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and another yes. Unanimous.
Okay,
Now, you explain this?
the PSAP.
Yeah.
So PSAP is our dispatching contract agreement that we have through the county. So within our budget, this is broken up between fire and police based on their usage. So this gives us 911 services as well as our using the county dispatch center to dispatch for our fire and our PD calls. So this comes before us every year after it's approved by the commissioners. So this is not on our fiscal year cycle. So thankfully, we get a little bit of a padding here. So what the commissioners has given us is a contract increase of $1,700. Because we're already halfway through our fiscal year, we're only going to get hit with half of that increase in this budget, and then we'll budget for it in the next year. So we're only going to be off about 850 divided by the fire and the PD budget. So it's something that we can absorb at this point. And what we would be looking for this would be a motion to have the council chair sign and keep us in another 1-year contract with Androscoggin County Dispatch.
So moved.
Second.
I second the motion, but would like to have discussion.
Discussion?
Yeah, what if we didn't approve this? We have
Yes.
just a question.
Any further questions? Rose,
Yes.
Tasha,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and I yes. So Unanimous.
Can you attach the key signature? Oh, crap. Thank you, Rose. All right, where are we? That's my agenda. There we go, sorry. 8.7, we kind of already covered unless you all want to talk about it more.
Uh, 8.7, town manager residency history recap. Now, we all have that information. Right?
And some of that information is a regurgitation as well as some of the work that we did in 2018 to figure out what dropped off, specifically some of those questions. So when we did it originally, what we did add was the one question was brought forward in 2019's election to update the charter to allow for somebody other than the town manager to be code enforcement officer. So we made that corrective change, which needed to happen. The rest of them is the list of what was approved at the 2001 kind of line item approvals for the charter, which happened in 2001, and then some of the changes down the line until we got to 2010 when we passed the new version that omitted them. So what we found in 2018 was two separate legal opinions that state what was passed in 2010 is what we have because it was put in front of the town as one question. Do you adopt as a town this draft of the charter? So we weren't able to consider it a Scrivener's error or a clerical error when it was compiled because it was passed as one solid new document. So therefore, any of the revisions or the omissions from before don't count.
So anybody have questions about this?
Outside of that, we would drop down to ordinances, resolves, and policies. And we would be looking for a motion to approve 420 Pharma's marijuana retail license.
Okay, entertain the motion.
Approve the municipal retail license for
I have
Seconded.
any discussion? Rose?
Yes.
Tasha? Ray?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
I go with yes.
Next would be, we would be looking for a motion to approve the retail license for 44 Pigeon Hill LLC.
I'll entertain the motion.
we can approve it contingent upon the appeal, but that they'll taken care of.
The appeal process can still go forward if it's approved here, yes.
So we'll have done our job. It's back to the planning board and Alan
It would
or the
be
appeal. board.
Alan and Jack and Mr. Thayer would iron it out. We need as well to find more appeals board members. So that's something we really need to get on now if we do potentially have someone going in front of the appeals board as well. We don't currently have enough people to convene the appeals board, which is just, we need volunteers. If you know anybody interested or who has land use or planning or desire, I believe we have 2 people currently sitting on the appeals board. We need 3 to make a quorum, 5 altogether.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to approve retail license for 44 Pigeon Hill Road, subject to the appeal process if it need be.
Second that.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Rose, yes, and Tasha,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
I vote yes. With appeals. And the last one,
We have a couple of abatements and supplementals. From a budgetary point of view, this is a plus because we found more value. So we have, it was a misassessed entire house.
They essentially went to the wrong lot, out in subdivision. And as such, lab instead of the actual house. In the wrong location. It was the wrong place.
So this is, we would be looking for to approve an abatement of $706.35 for 47 Stonebrook Drive with an accompanied supplemental of $2,679.51 for the same address.
It was 700 and it's going to 2,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to deal with it is you said abate the original tax amount and supplement that when you bill.
Okay.
So that's what you're doing, you're beating the wrong amount. And then
Okay.
supplementing the new amount.
So is it one motion or two?
You can do that one as one,
Okay.
and then I'll have another one.
Okay. So I make a motion to
Abate
Abate.
$706.35 with a new supplemental of $2,679.51.
yes, that.
Thank you.
second,
Second,
any further discussion? Rose,
yes.
Tasha, Ray,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
I vote yes, so
Thank you. And I have one more, same accord, same road. Nope, this is East Oxford Road. So this would be, this way. A motion to abate $918.23 on 114 East Oxford Road with a supplemental of $706.35.
Make a motion to approve the abatement of $918.23 and the supplemental of $706.35.
Second,
any further discussion? Rose,
yes.
Tasha,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
I vote yes too.
I will cycle both of these. There is 2 pages, one for the abatement and one for the supplemental. For those two. And outside of that, we would look to adjourn until the next workshop on
Okay.
December 7th.
I entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor, Rose,
Yes.
Tasha,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
No, and I'll just say yes too.
Thank you all. We'll see you next month or tomorrow if you have not voted yet.
Did we sign both of these?
Yes, please.
Thank you, everyone online.